Hello and welcome to Achieve Hartford's Education Update. I'm Naisha McCauley, and as you know, this past November 5th, voters went to the polls and elected 4 members to Hartford's Board of Education. And I am so delighted that I have 2 of the elected members joining me here on today's program. Craig Stallings, Beth Taylor, Mike Brescia, and also Robert Cotto as a returning board member were elected that November 5th. And we're just going to have a conversation about our new elected members and what their first impressions are being elected to the Board of Education, and just get their feedback and talk about education in Hartford. So I want you to sit back and relax and just join us for this next half hour as we explore some topics in education. So I am going to let each board member speak for themselves because I think that's the most appropriate thing to do. And I'm going to start with Beth.
Excellent.
So Beth, just tell our audience a little about yourself.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me here and having Craig here as well. We always work well together, so I'm excited when I see him here. So my name is Beth Taylor, and I live in the West End. I have 2 children, ages 7 and 5, soon to be 8 and 6 though, who go to the Mary Hooker School of Environmental Science. It's over in the South End on Flatbush. So I've been in Hartford now for about 5 years, and I am a research scientist at Hartford Hospital as well as on faculty at University of Hartford in Health Sciences. And I became interested in running for the Board of Ed a couple of years ago because as I learned more about the kind of odd structure that we have in Hartford with 5 appointed members and 4 elected members, I really felt strongly that the elected members had a unique role in that they could serve to fill niches that maybe the appointed members wouldn't have. And right now, one of the niches that I think we both have identified is that there have not been parents on the Board of Ed.
That's right.
With active children in the system. And so I got interested in running simply because I think parent representation on a school board is extremely important. Yeah. And here I am.
Well, thank you.
A couple of years later.
Craig, please, tell the audience a little about yourself.
Thank you for having me also. And okay. My name is Craig Stallings. I'm a lifelong resident in Hartford. I have 3 boys, 16, 10, and 9, or soon to be 11 next week. And I pretty much saw the same concern in that there weren't a lot of parents actively involved in what was going on with the school board or the district. And being an activist in North Hartford, there's a lot of issues that we need to address, and I just felt that we needed a parent representative to help facilitate some of those issues through the debate with the board and then the district. I also have my oldest son has an IEP, and it's very difficult for parents with children with special needs to get the resources and sort of the attention that educational attention that the children need. It's very difficult to access those resources. So I wanted to advocate for that. So that's pretty much what motivated me to run, as well as just the I want to say disconnect between the community and what the district is doing or what the board is doing. So I want to make sure that we have very good information and a dialogue back and forth.
Speaking on those 2 veins, because I think those are pretty important, like parenthood and the community ties. So how does being a parent, how do you think that will affect you as a board member? How does that impact your decision making? And Beth, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it brings the macro level down to the micro level.
Oh, right.
Certainly one thing that the board is very good at, as any board should be, is looking at the big picture when it comes to education. But I think what parents can do and what having parent voices can do is remind the board collectively that there's also the small picture. how do these things impact children and parents? How are parents at each individual school likely to perceive these different policies? How would I, as a parent, feel if my kid's school was going to go into the commissioner's network? What type of information would I want to feel confident in that decision and feel like I understood it and I understood what meaning it had to my children? So I think that on a policy level, being a parent can help. You can't let it get to you. You know, we all want to make decisions that are individually in our children's best interest, but we are a collective group. So you have to balance those. But I think it can help with policy. And then I also think sometimes it can drive awareness of issues that the board overall might not recognize. And so one example I would give of that is that in magnet schools, where my children go, for example, there is a lot of attrition in certain grades. You know, the transition between pre-K and kindergarten means you have a huge dropout rate as a lot of suburban children return to their home schools. That has a big psychological impact on the remaining kids, the Hartford kids, who stay, and then they show up in kindergarten or first grade, and half of their class is now gone.
Wow.
And the demographic looks very different. And so I think that those are things that traditionally don't get brought up. We don't think about their impact on things like student learning and achievement and school culture and climate. But I think we should.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that I think parent representation can accomplish.
Yeah, good points. Good points, particularly on the pre-K to kindergarten one, which you know, that's a community concern that I have heard out there. So that's a good.
And
that's
the
a good
same
point.
thing you see at the end of fifth grade. You know, Mary Hooker is a K-8 school, and so at the end of fifth grade or at the end of sixth grade, depending on what the middle school in a town can look like, you see again this huge attrition. And sometimes I think that has a big impact on students. You know, they're in these very vulnerable ages in grades 7th and 8th grade, which we all know are difficult ages. And then you've lost a huge part of your peer support network. They're all going different places, and now you don't have those people in your lives anymore.
Right.
I think that impacts our students more than we recognize.
Interesting. So, Craig, what has the community response been to you? You know, and have you seen anything evolve from like your campaign days during the summer to now? So.
Yes, I've seen an evolution. I can honestly say that. There are more people are wanting to be more engaged. I think there's a growing consensus that we need to do more. We need to be more involved, and we need to take more onus. However, it's still a lot of frustration about the disconnect. A lot of people still are unclear about the direction of the board and where they want to take the school system. And there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to how do I facilitate a complaint that I might have or a concern I might have at a school level, and when it's not being resolved at school level, how can I go to the district to see if I can get that complaint resolved? That is still a huge concern. And also with going back to what Beth said, because you know, just knocked that ball right out the park. But you know, that again, school community is a large concern, because you know, if teachers are spending a lot of time disciplining and trying to gain control of the classroom, they can't teach. So you know, it's with the neighborhood schools. They have the same some of the same issues, because they're losing a lot of peers to magnet schools. So the makeup is different. So the psychology of that child is, you know, I've lost my friend, this friend's gone, I'm stuck here, and I can't get out because the lottery is crazy and the list is long, so I'm stuck here. So there's a lot of frustration. So, you know, I think we have a lot of work to do, just engaging parents and just explaining to the community, this is the direction we want to go in, this is our philosophy, our mission, and buy into it, please, and let's work together and find a solution. But I think I know I'm speaking for myself and Beth. We would like to work together with people. We want to bring people together. We don't want to alienate anyone. We don't want to create fractions. What we want to do is we want to work with everyone and recognize that not everyone's going to get what they want, but if we compromise and work together, the main goal is educating our children.
When you say not everyone is going to get what they want, does that include you?
Yeah.
It's a sad recognition.
Okay. So how have parents responded, and this is to both of you, at your schools, at your individual schools? Do parents know that you are now a board member, and how does that work?
Well, my daughter tells everyone. So it's been very well publicized by my PR agent. It's funny, I think most parents and friends are really supportive. I think that they recognize what a difficult job it is, and they're excited to see someone that they like and have a connection to and respect and admire in the fray. I think on the other hand, sometimes parents forget that the role of a board member is not to address individual problems at schools.
Right.
They're not to micromanage. They're not to delve into a late policy at one specific school. And so for me personally, as a board member and a friend and a community member and a neighbor, one of the things that I've had the most difficulty with is just simply finding the right language to say, I respect your complaint, I respect your concern. This is not something a board member would take up, but here are the avenues that you could use to get that complaint heard.
Nice.
And that has to be said tactfully, because you don't want to discourage people who have valid energy, enthusiasm, concerns, criticisms that want to do something.
Right.
Yeah. What did you find at your school?
A lot of support and equal amount of complaints, I guess. So a lot of very difficult, because we're as Beth explained, it's very difficult for a board member to take on one particular issue, and all you can do is forward the complaint to the superintendent and allow the process to work. But at the same time, when there are issues that as a parent you see, and you know these issues existed before you ran, and now that you're there and the parents are looking at you like, well, you know these issues and we expect you to take care of them, you know, and we don't care how you do it. We just get it done. It's
no, I think
strange
that's
balance.
very real. I think it's a very real struggle, even.
Yeah. Strange balance. But like you said, it's difficult to find a language. I mean, sometimes I can be blunt and listen, I can't help you, you know, you have to go through the process. And other times, you have to listen and sort of facilitate, you know, the emotions, you know, just to get through what the core of the complaint is, so that you can say, all right, well, you know, that's not something that we can handle because it's not a policy issue, but it's more of a relationship struggle.
Right.
So again, there's a lot of things that I'm faced with, but luckily I have the ability to fall back on the fact that I can't really get involved in personal issues and personal complaints and issues with the principal or things like that. But I did get an interesting email. I don't know if you got a copy of that, but a complaint about someone. So it's interesting how these things are starting to come. But like I said, I hope that we can find a way to sort of get these complaints, because a lot of times the board is not aware of issues that are going on, and we would like to know, so that we can possibly fashion policy or create some kind of task force to investigate or look at something. So, you know, I enjoy and appreciate people coming and talking about concerns. It's just we have to find a way to facilitate it, I think, better.
So I'm gonna shift gears and be more direct a little bit about some current issues that are simmering in Hartford right now. So this past Tuesday, so if the viewers are watching this at home, I'm referring to Tuesday, January 7th. There was a board workshop, which that was your first official board meeting. You were sworn in, right, at that meeting, and then proceeded to take part in that meeting. And so just to update parents really quickly, the board workshop is different from the regular board meeting. At the workshop, board members hear from the district basically on a topic.
Yes.
Am I summarizing that
Yeah.
correctly?
It's almost like a policy briefing
Okay.
by the administration.
Right. There's no vote taking, it's just an opportunity for you to listen and ask questions
Yes.
on a particular topic. So trying to be brief and catch everyone up to date. At this board workshop was discussed two really simmering topics, as I said, the Commissioners Network and also the Lighthouse model. So for parents out there, you may have heard these terms being referenced in talking about Clark School and then also Sand School as well. So let's just dive in and talk a little bit about Tuesday. How prepared were you? And Beth, I'll start with you. How prepared were you for Tuesday night? And I guess I should provide a little bit more context to say, if we do have the video footage, and so I would hope to share that with the viewing audience, but if you weren't there, things got a little heated on Tuesday. And so Beth, how did you interpret that? Were you prepared for Tuesday night?
I was prepared for it in and as much as I have determined in my own mind that I have a huge learning curve, and one of the things I don't want to do is jump into meetings myself and start getting really heated about things. That to me would be a new mistake of a novice board member, because we have a lot of catching up to do. So I was prepared in that I'm keeping myself on a tight rein, which is not my personality, maybe not yours either, but to really sit there and say, you need to soak it all in, you need to take some time, you need to really understand how these dynamics work. So I was prepared for my own reaction. I was also prepared for the nature of the debate, because I've been to board meetings before. I think what is difficult is that meetings like this can cause fractions with the administration, and the board and the administration have to work together really well. And right now we're in a difficult transition with a superintendent that is outgoing. Everybody knows she's outgoing. There's been some disconnect with her in the previous board, so there isn't smooth waters there. The administration probably falls in different areas of support and loyalty and encouragement and discouragement of her. So I think it's a difficult scene regardless, and I think what these types of meetings really need to focus on is the concept of working together. You know, with this discussion, it delved a little bit more into these broader picture, these broader criticisms of the entire system, which is not where we need to be right now. And I think that is my hesitation, and I'm certainly not being critical of any board members, but just the way the discourse evolved, I think we need to be really careful in saying we're focusing on these two topics, and yes, we need to place them in the context of educational reform in Hartford, but we need to focus on the questions relevant to them as opposed to getting to this very existential point of, you know, the entire system, which is where I kind of think it ended up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I mean, so Craig, just so viewers have just a view into your mind, was Tuesday's night's meeting your expectation for what a board meeting would be like? Or did you see it as active debate as opposed to my description? I said it got heated.
Parts I thought was active, constructive debate, and other times I thought was more editorial, and a lot of concern getting lost in translation. I think a lot of I had a lot of questions. I think everyone, the other members had questions, and I think it was just something that I don't know. I mean, it evolved into something that, and in my opinion, it went to an area that we have no jurisdiction to even contemplate or discuss. So it gave me an idea of where I need to begin educating the community on things, and that's just simply how the process works. But it was a little strange. Meaning, for example, the Lighthouse concept last year was different than the explanation and definition that we received on Tuesday. So apparently they must have went back to the drawing board and changed the agreement or changed the structure of the agreement. So, I was sort of surprised and caught off guard about that, and other board members were as well. So that was, I think, the contention that you might have sensed. But other than that, healthy debate is great. I think if, I know I'm full of passion. I know Beth has a lot of passion. And I'm excited to see Beth debate and articulate that passion. I intend to do the same. I think it's healthy and I think it's good. I think parents like to see it, and as long as they know that someone's advocating and passionate about children and my child being educated, you can support that, whether you win a debate or lose a debate, whether the policy passes or the policy is defeated. As long as you have an advocate that is going to represent your point of view, I think that is a great step in the right direction. So I'm not afraid of the debate. I think we should do more of it. I would like for it to be civil, but emotions, and people get heated. But as long as we can walk away and agree to disagree and say, listen, we're going to work together, we're in it together. That's all. I'm really expecting to come out of it.
Well, we have a half hour here, which is unfortunate because it's like never enough time to go into everything that you would like to talk about. So that's my open invitation to do this again at some point. But in our final moments, I want to touch on two more things, and that is, for parents in Hartford, they have been through or have experienced the first phase of this reform, if you will. We have choice system now. We have the introduction of different models of schools, neighborhoods, magnets, community. Going forward, if you had a magic wand or 3 wishes, how do you want your time on the board to be spent? At the end of your term, what do you want to impact the most?
Well, I would absolutely say the selection of the new superintendent. I think that is the most pivotal, critical decision and process the board can be involved in right now, because I think if we get the right person in there, someone who's committed to this system, who's willing to stay a while, who's really willing to get working on it, who coordinates well with the board, communicates well, listens to the community, understands an urban population and the challenges that face the different neighborhoods and different schools, and what parents want and what they don't want and what they think they want. I think the right person who not only does all those things but also surrounds him or herself with people that contribute to all those different areas, has a strong leadership presence, will go a huge way towards bringing this system through continued reform. So to me personally, I think the board plays a tremendous role in that process, because I think that we all have learned lessons from our various places in life, whether it be working with the previous superintendent, whether it be being educators, whether it being community members, and I think we all can influence that process.
Your impact, Craig? What do you think?
Parent involvement, and I would like to make the system user-friendly and improve the customer service of the district. That would be by far, with the new selection of the new superintendent, if we can get a superintendent with that much charisma and vision, and we change and fix just how the system operates, I think we can go far. For example, at one of the neighborhood schools right now, there is a 2nd grade teacher, I think, who has not returned to work. So for the large portion of the year, the children have been educated by parents and can achieve, and all they can achieve with that situation. So we have to make sure that the basic things are being met. We have all teachers in place. We have great communication. Our PTOs and our SGCs are working on behalf of the parents to improve the school. We can improve this absentee issue that we have and work on the chronic absentee problems that we have in the neighborhood schools, and take more onus for our children's education as a community, and support young parents to make sure that we do things like read to our children and reinforce the skills, and introduce science into our home, and math, and develop very good study skills. So I like to do a lot more working with people and a lot more social things to create a better learning environment around the school and inside the school. Because I think the selection of the superintendent is in good hands here. And as long as the superintendent knows I'm going to step on a few toes, We're all good.
Right. So what we'll do is, since we're right at the beginning of your terms, we'll have you back at a midpoint at some point to check in.
Tell them why you're mad.
Right. Do
Solid.
Like, all right.
Right. We'll do a quick check-in and just get another update and see how things are moving along for you. But before we go, my one final question is, what do you want to leave the viewers at home with? What do you want them to know about you, Beth? What do you want them to know about you, Craig? And I'll start with you, Beth.
I think probably the thing that I want people to know about me is that I'm not from Hartford. I'm from Buffalo. It's my exotic accent that everybody asks me about. It's actually not so exotic. So I don't know, I'm not from here. I moved here. I love it here. I'm excited about being here. And I think that I'm a good example of someone who moves to an area who has no political connections, very few community connections, sees a place to make an impact, and is able to get involved. And so I guess I'd like people at home to maybe take some inspiration from that and think about the things that they maybe have been wanting to get involved in, the places that they could make a difference, the impacts that they could have in their community, their neighbors and their friends and their kids, their workplace, and use that as an inspiration that if you want to get involved and make a difference, particularly in a place like Hartford, particularly in education, there are so many opportunities, and what may seem like obstacles to getting involved, actually you will find, I think, fall down once you actually start moving towards the goal.
Quite simply, every decision I make, every action I undergo is on behalf of the people, the residents, and the children. I'm a true public servant. So I will fight when it's necessary to fight, and I will be quiet when it's necessary to be quiet. That's going to be hard.
I was going to say, that may be ambitious.
But other than that, I'm just consistently the same guy, that I've always been. So if you know me, then you know who I am and what I'm going to do. And if you don't, I'm willing to work with everyone. So please reach out, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you both. It's really been a pleasure, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, viewers at home, that's it. We're done. We'll see you next time here on Achieve Hartford's Education Update. Good night.